not that organised tonight, and I apologise. Chirpy, Stephen Lang, g'day. You guys are up early. Mark Foster, hello. Yeah, it's damn hot today. You're right. Mark Osborne, g'day. Hope you got the lid off okay, Mark. David N. Sykes, g'day. Matty, hello. Peter Noddle, g'day. Wazza, hello. Everyone else's shop tools are awesome. Not likely to do one anytime soon. I might get some machines back together. I might think about it. However, only been home 20 minutes or so, and my tablet was flat when I got home because I forgot to put on the charger this morning, which I normally do Wednesday morning. So I've got it plugged in here. I had to find a charger to plug in, all that sort of stuff. Find something to talk about, which is few and far between. We really haven't achieved much. I mean, we've been busy, but we haven't done much. Absolutely, Stephen, what a shop doer. Maddie's was awesome. What else? Craig's not. He's gone fishing for the week, so we won't see him. Hey, Chirp. Did we suss out the electrical problem? Sort of, almost. We're getting there. Bought a new electric motor for the lathe. Spent some time this last weekend getting all the base plate and bolt down plates and everything, all and pulleys and everything in place for it and sorted out, and mechanically getting it all fitted up. So it all on the lathe and put on, turned on, and it ran backwards. So changed 2 wires around and it ran forward at about 20% speed. So messed around with it, did some research and changed another 2 wires around, and it still did the same thing. So we haven't really fixed that. However, I pulled the motor off and put on the Mills BFD, plugged it in, and runs like a dream both ways, no problems, not an issue. BFD does everything it should do. So it's either Bossman 8, g'day. Pretty early in southern Indiana. I could just move it around and film it over 2 days and no one would ever know, chirps. But I need to just clean up, simple as that. And need to get some projects finished first. Look, I'll get the Stuart 400 going, finished, on the shelf, and major spring clean and rearrange is in order for the workshop, so that's next. Then maybe. So anyway, motors runs fine on the mill. So it's either a wiring or a VFD problem. So today, because I don't have any left, I went and bought some 4-core flex, which I'm going to plug directly into the VFD here, and so fast forward or cut out all the stop wiring and everything on the lathe. And we're going to see if that works, and if the VFD fires that up and runs the motor, then we're going to find out what the problem is in the wiring and fix that, or bypass whatever it is, or rewire the thing or something like that, so that everything runs. But it isn't the motor. Nothing wrong with the motor. It runs beautifully. The problem is either the VFD that's on the lathe, which might be a bit old, or it might have a loose terminal or something, or it's the switch box, which I haven't a clue how it works, but it does some strange things. So it's one or the other. We'll eliminate the switch box, and if it's not the switch box, it's the VFD. And if it's the VFD, we just buy a new one and put on it and put in a new box and get it all sorted and fixed, I think. So there we go. That's the electrical issues. VFD is about 5 years old, and I've reset it. Everything's back to normal. I've messed around with it for about 4 hours yesterday and still haven't had any luck with it. So I'm going to wire it in directly, and if it fixes the problem, it fixes the problem. Otherwise, it's a wiring or the VFD. Hey, Andrew Baker. It's already belt pulley charged, but the VFD runs a 3-phase motor, and that's really nice. Hey, JB. But the 3-phase motor all fits in the lathe. Everything's in, the belts are on, everything's right. Except I had to pull it all out again to test it over on the mill. And when I get it, I'm going to hook up a wire to the motor, to the VFD, right out the front, past everything, see if it runs. If it runs, then we're going to find the problem. So hopefully it's not far away. That's where we're at with that. Hey, Brendan. John Creasy spent some messing around time on his computer because now he's a programmer electronics guru on account of having a remote access, a remote monitor mailbox and home wired for cell phone electrical operation, all that sort of stuff. Messed around with the subscription counter and got it running. So that's awesome. I had to update quite a lot of things and plugged it in again and updated the code for the YouTube and all that stuff, and it runs. So big thanks to John if he's around. But the subscription counter runs. That it didn't run after a certain date is a myth. The thing still only counts in tens, but it certainly runs as 6820 there. So there we go. There we go. Pretty exciting. Bump the wrong button there. How hard are they to build? I guess you're talking about the subscription counter. Not particularly difficult. It's not difficult. Check out Marcel's workshop. There's this guy here. Hey, John is the man in the moment. Thanks, John, for giving me a hand to sort out the subscription counter we were just saying. Check out this guy. Has instructions on how to make it. The electronics may need some upgrading, but it's all Arduino based. So if you're comfortable with soldering two things together and getting them to talk to each other and talk to the computer, you'll be onto it. It's a good learning curve. I'm not, but I made it work. If I can do it, anyone can. So, what's everyone else doing? Hey, Dusty. Dan Harold, good day. Don't know, Matt. You've got to try it. Don't get anywhere if you don't. The bits weren't particularly expensive, and yeah, it works. So, what else has happened this week? Bought materials. There you go. It's pretty exciting. This project, we've all seen to death. Haven't got there yet, but Man Cave Metals. We all know Glenn. Big thanks. And Really not well designed, this pen. Hold in your right hand and maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Man Cave Metals. He sent this piece of cast iron that was off-cut, but he cut wrong. So I don't know if he charged me full price for it. I don't know about that. It seemed pretty cheap, but I got that. Was just putting a new gearbox in the Dodge, which is pretty exciting. Got a piece of aluminium to make this out of. Hand will come, I think we saw that. Got a bit of three-quarter bar, 400 long to go through the middle. So not a big job to really do that. It's just I've got to get the lathe going. And I was reluctant to even think about something like this diameter in the old lathes, but now we've got double the horsepower. We should be home and hose with that. Stephen's working on his steam engine. It's looking good. John's working on his boiler for his steam engine. JB's building a house, which is pretty amazing. Gosh, Chirpy's making or thinking about making or trying to make a bandsaw sharpening attachment for his tool and cutter grinder. I've got a heap of video that I haven't uploaded or edited, and I probably should do that. You might get a video out of me, or you might not. I'm not very good at videos recently. Brendan's wrecking castings. Hope you're having some luck. They look like fairly expensive castings, Brendan. So that's kind of what's happened here. So hopefully we get the lathe sorted. Be really nice to get that up and running and going. Come in this morning and I can smell rat. This is a very unhappy sort of a situation, but I come in tonight after work, open the door, and it's a pretty warm day, and I can smell rat. Now I don't know whether it's a live rat smell or a dead rat smell, but I can smell rat, and they could be under the veranda, or they could be in the workshop somewhere, and don't know where. Can't smell it in any other rooms in the house, so it's just here in the workshop and the front door. So I've got a feeling that it could be under the veranda or somewhere in a, you know, that's not real pleased about that. But anyway, we need to sort that. Maddie's working for a living. No, I don't think it explains the electrical problem. It's just a new smell, so I'm not... I might have to set a trap tonight. That's where I'm at with that. It's a job. It may be too late, and that's why I'm smelling it, and that's probably why we probably had a dead rat, which doesn't do anything at all for my happiness, really, because I don't like getting rid of dead rats. Anyway. We're right here in the bush next to the river, so it's a fact of life. You can't get rid of them or stop them, but anyway. Hey, Paddy, good to see you. You just got to deal with them when they happen and block up as many holes as you can so they don't come inside. Ordered some filament from Prussia in Czech Republic. That should be here, which is the blue to finish the landy. Pretty excited about that. A couple of other little jobs that I'm prototyping for work or for myself to sell at work, sort of thing. Had a little bit of an idea and it's starting to grow, so been working on that. Don't know much else. I seem to have a lot of bolts here. Here's another problem. This is a very unhappy situation, but then come off my center finder or my edge finder. Don't know. The rest of it's over there on the mill. If anyone's got an idea about one to make or buy or find or do something that actually works and doesn't come unscrewed, because this is pretty crap. It should be good, and it come from Keith Fenner in the What's in Your Box 2016, so I've had it 4 years, and it's only done any work in the last 2 years really, but it seems to come unscrewed, and I'm not particularly happy about that. So I could put it back together again, but might have to do something about getting a better one. Trouble is with Joe Pye is it's Joe Pye. No, not really. He's a decent enough guy if he doesn't... Yeah, anyway, we won't go into that. But thanks, Chirp. I've got the John Mills special, which is actually pretty effective. I really don't mind that. It's just it's a bit big diameter, which is this one. Right. This is actually pretty good. I'll give it that. This works pretty good. John Mills made this double boost. Yeah, he backed down a little bit. He's actually a pretty decent guy, I would have thought. I've met him a couple of times and I've spoken to him a few times, and I really don't mind him at all. But thanks for that, Matt. But I sort of have both sides of the story, and I sort of think that there might be two sides of the story, and I'll give him that. But there's no need to get all vindictive about stuff. Anyway. As I like him, but I kind of like Quinn more. If she just slow down, or if she just talk a little bit slower, we get on very well. Anyway, he's no more crazy than the rest of America. Present company accepted, but you're all stark raving loony. I'll give you that. So do what you like with that information, but Joe's the sort of guy, if he takes something on board, he takes it on board forever, and it's changed. Like if you point something out to him, it doesn't happen twice. So there we go. But he has some good content. And he got his steam engine running, but Quinn's had hers running too. I've seen that. I've seen videos of it running, so it's not all that far away. She IM'd me something on Instagram the day she got it running, so I've seen it running a few weeks ago. What else? I'm still on Facebook. I haven't quit yet because I don't believe that fact checking is censorship if we're going to go there. I think telling someone that you're wrong because your friends are too nice to do that is probably a good thing to have happening. But anyway. The thing about Quinn too, oh, Tom Lipton made one. Thanks, David. I'll check that out. But that's out of my league. The thing about Quinn is that she's doing stuff with some fairly basic equipment. She's got a tiny little mill and a tiny little lathe, and she's doing all right on a fairly big, fairly complicated steam engine. Joe's got everything he could possibly need, and a lot more experience, and he's doing a good job too. I'll give him that. But you're right, as long as the parts match, actual size is not critical for a lot of things. Unless you're Tom Lipton. It's nice to get things to size, and it's nice to get other bits to size, and it's nice to get... It's nice to do good work, but... Like Quinn says, and I think she was quoting me, is that it will run, no matter what you do. What else? Yeah, that's pretty good effort. Pretty good effort, was it? It's not a very big mill. I mean, she made copper soft jaws, and it really struggled with that, which gives you some sort of idea how big a milling machine is. Yeah. Anyway, Tommy Gun Machining's here. Which is excellent. Party can start now. Good to see you, Tom. Malcolm Till's here too. Anyway. Very good video from Tommy Gun Machining about video editing the other week. I guess you've all seen that. I probably mentioned it last times. Good video. Kind of the gold standard for TMC entries. You should watch that if you're gonna enter the tool making competition, if it ever happens again. Pretty good video. I learnt some things for it. I not sure I took them on board or I'm ever going to use them, but I did learn some stuff. I'll give him that. I really enjoyed it too. It's a good video. There's a video from him too about the clay muller or the pug mill or whatever it is that doesn't quite work, but expect an update on that any minute, I would say. Anyway, I am just talking. I'm not really not doing anything. I haven't had dinner yet. I've got electrical cables and things going everywhere. The mill's unplugged because the lathe motor's still wired into the wire out of the mill's actually still in the lathe motor, and it all works nicely. So pretty happy about that. This TMC 2021 things is ludicrous. What we really need is something to unite us as a community again. I mean, that's a bit of a problem. Everyone's out there ready to be for someone to reach out, but people are leaving Facebook and leaving YouTube and moving onto their own platforms and trying to get their own place where they're comfortable with what's going down, and I give them that. That's fair enough. I sort of see both sides of the argument, and depending on who you talk to, if you sit down and talk about it with, say, Kevin Alexander or Brad Jacobs or anyone else, there's definitely an argument, we can call it that, but I can see both sides, and I can see that people do need their own space where they're happy, and they're really not going to be any more vindictive in those places than they are in where they are. So that's cool. It's just that it's very, very difficult to find one place where everyone sort of talks and comes together as a community, and that's a pretty tricky thing. But we never had that anyway. About half the people who participated in TMC are in Tip Splits 2019 were not actually on Facebook, so it's probably fairly irrelevant, and I'd really, really, really like to get something going again, but I don't know what yet. So there we go. No one else clicks in this stream. No, it's if you see Tom Lipton's watching, you raise your hand, or this old Tony. I have questions about this old Tony. Don't know if it was anyone at Summer Bash 2020, and if so, yeah, you know what question I'm going to ask, so interested about that. Haven't been brave enough to ask Stan yet, and you won't get a straight answer out of him anyway. What else? Haven't bought any tools really this week. Bought 3 bits of material to finish this job. I really want to get that done. Yeah, I've got the pulley on the motor, and I've got the motor all bolted down, or places to bolt it all down, and I've got new bolts and everything for it, and it looks really good in the lathe. Just doesn't run. Anyway. Good video from Ron Koval. If you don't watch Ron Koval, you probably should. I've subscribed to him for years. Sheet metal guru, really clever guy. It's kind of all black magic to me. I'm not a sheet metal person, but Ron does some awesome stuff, and he did a bit of a collab with this old Tony, which was really cool. Hey Matt, it's good to see you. Look, I've been really slack with stickers. I've got a stack of envelopes, which is a good start, and I've got a stack of stickers, which is a reasonable start too. They're both things that have happened this week, but well, I didn't get new stickers, but I dug them out and found them. So all I need to do is put stickers in envelopes with notes and address them and put stamps on them and send them. So whether that's going to happen this week or not, I'm not sure, but I probably should sit down and do that at some point. It's something I can do one night. Hey Nigel, good to see ya. Was a update video from Nigel this week. Really exciting from Go Create Hobby Machine Shop. That's quite a mouthful. With some hints about some surprise videos. Anyone can do that. We just got to deliver. And some valve gear updates. Really interesting valve gear on that line locomotive. I hope you give us a bit more of an overview of the history of it and how it all come to be and how it actually works and why it's different to other locomotive valve gears. It's kind of really interesting. It's always fascinated me. Awesome, JB. I'll check them out. G'day, Mark. Good to see ya. Well, it's not reading any books, really. I've been reading through old Model Engineer magazines. I don't know if I really, to be honest, I don't do myself any favours, trying to get a little bit inspired to do stuff. I'm going to have to check out Trev's blog. There we go. I'm just saying because I haven't really got a clue what else to say. I'm kind of caught up. Someone else should jump on the... John McNamara, good day. Just trying to think what else I've got in a box that might be of interest to someone. Probably not very much. Nothing. Yeah, we got radio silence here. Little Worm Drive. Yeah, John. Chirpy's starting on that. The boilers are just here. Like, they're within reach, within easy reach. Gonna need to get in and pickle one of them and get it out to you, Chirp. I think the postage has sort of sorted itself out, so there's probably no excuse now. Where did I get this Worm Drive? Come on, eBay. They have gone up since I first showed them. I showed these a couple of live streams ago, and they were $19.95 for this little Worm Drive gearbox, which is very cool. I see from the same seller they're now $49.95, so someone must have actually bought a couple. I bought 2 of them. Increased demand puts the price up, yeah. So they were $20 with a flange on them for a motor. I think it's very similar to what Tommy Gun Machining put on his pug mill. So did I get a dimension drawing for this? No, it just came in a box, wrapped up in bubble wrap with a few bits and pieces and a few bolts. No information, but I did draw it up, so I have a CAD file that's sort of somewhere near it, but it's 15 to 1. I don't know what's inside it or anything. It's not hard to make a worm and worm gear. That's exactly right. Not for $20 though. That's where we're at. But this one was, yeah, 1995, free postage. The postage on this is nearly 1995, so they didn't sell them for much. And then when I went back to think, well, maybe I could have another one. It's 15 to 1, which is not a particularly useful ratio. Size 30, 15 to 1. 5th month, 2020, I guess that number means. From the Bing Roy Motor Company Limited, which probably isn't a crazy reputable firm, but anyway. It'll be just the thing for this. John's working on a project. That's awesome. I had this all drawn up a bit more fancy to use a worm and a wheel from Japan that was going to be fairly expensive. And it was going to look like factory or better and really nice. But this is a much easier option and it's going to look pretty good too. Apart from that, 36 minutes in and I haven't really done much or said much or anything, and I'm running out of things to say. I don't think I've done anything this weekend except messed around with the electrics. What pitch lead screw, Chirpy says? Stick it on Discord. I'd love to see a drawing. What pitch lead screw? It doesn't have a pitch. The lead screw's got a worm and a rack. So, I think the rack's about 4 TPI, so something like that. Might be, yeah, probably 4 TPI, 5 TPI. And that's how it works. So, yeah. And this will just operate the gear to the rack. When we wind this hand wheel, that should move the rack up and down rather than just using a lever, which is all it had before. Anyway, what other exciting things? I bought a crucible the other day, but I haven't done anything with it. It's not a very big one, and it's nowhere near big enough, and I never got tongs yet, but I was going to mess around with it, and I just haven't got there. There's something interesting. I'm going to reach over here. There you go. Doesn't hold very much. At all. Probably a bit small. I might get that next size up. That's actually been sitting there for a week or so. But haven't used it yet. But holds about 2 teaspoonfuls, which is hardly big enough. Malcolm, no, I'm not going to put graduations on because I've got a VFD. I've got a DRO, sorry. So probably don't need graduations. It could be done, probably reasonably easily. But I've got a DRO on the Z or the whatever axis, the X-axis or whatever you want to call it. I think it's the y-axis is actually called on a horizontal mill. So there's probably not a lot of point putting a handway or with graduations on it that you can't really see anyway. And lose count. It's around the back of the machine, so it's a bit hard to reach anyway. Oh, you do it. You just work out how far it travels in one turn and graduate it to that amount. It's not much different to the rest because the rest are all 8 TPI, which is a bit of a pain because each turn is 1/8 of an inch, so it's 125 graduations to the turn, which is a real nuisance. But it's probably no more of a hassle than, say, 130, or if you made 172 or whatever it needed to be. You'd work around it. But there's not much point in that because we've got a digital readout. So there we go. Hey, good to see ya. Glad you get a coffee break. Tidying up's a good thing. Friend of mine's got that furnace for heat treating. Seems all right actually. And Myford Boy's got, it's pretty cool. It's good that Nigel at editor at glueit.com. It's good that Myford Boy gave him a shout out. He's pretty awesome. You should check him out on Instagram or even his YouTube channel. So I reckon they're probably not a bad little furnace at all. It's not very big, and I don't think to actually melt brass, you've got to get brass a lot hotter than melting point. And I'm not sure if it's gonna. I'm really wondering whether my hot shot's actually going to run that much hotter or hot enough to melt aluminium. Probably won't melt brass, I don't think. Maddie's got a question. So there we go. But this is a 1 kilogram crucible. It's not very big. I didn't realise that it wasn't very big. I'm not sure what part of it's actually 1 kilogram. Probably 1 kilogram of gold in it. I'm not sure. We're waiting, Maddie. Still waiting. Radio silence. Subscription count is working again. Anyone who come in late, that's pretty cool. Yeah, thanks for that, Chirpy. That's a fairly fair. I've done some brazing in it, and it's been sort of not an entire success, Chirp. So that's a fair point. You can see Maddie typing out a 400-word question. It will melt aluminium because I've seen one do it. I'd really like to do some aluminium casting here, or maybe some lost wax or something. We're still working on that. We're starting to get some bits together to do some. Oh, here we go. Here's the question. I'm thinking of making an X-axis power feed for the mill drill. Excellent idea. I've got a starter motor off a small quad bike which has a reduction drive. Okay. Honestly, I don't know. Tommy Gunn's the expert on that. I'm not much help. Look, I started prototyping one up to go on my mill with a stepper, a NEMA 17 or 21 or something stepper motor and tooth belt drive. I'm not sure if it's going to work. There's only one way to find out. Hey Dennis, good to see ya. Stuart, g'day. I've seen a few with windscreen wiper motors too, so yeah. Or window winder motors. And all you can do is hook it up to a battery and see what happens. Put a switch in it and see if it works. Put a pulley on it or something, or even make a bit of a dog clutch to put on the end of it and hold it on the end of it and see if it'll drive the table. And just put it over the hand wheel. See what happens. Hook up a switch and a battery. And see how you go. Then you make up a bit of a box with a dog clutch and stuff. But Matt Peterson has the correct sediment. Make a video about it. We know that you will anyway. So you've already half prototyped it, but just make a fork to go over your hand wheel and sort of jury rig it a bit and put a battery on it and see if it's got enough power to run it and how fast and how slow and whether it'll run it slow enough. That's the thing. Hey Paul, good to see you. Don't be sorry. And Steve Jordan probably did something similar. I don't know. You've got to pick it up and find out. Where's your sense of adventure? Mark hasn't got any. Use gloves. That's what I'm thinking, is that it may not handle slow speeds. And it may be noisy at high speeds, so if you do gear it down, it's probably going to drive you batty. When it's bolted on, will the body be live? I reckon it's earth through the body, wouldn't it? The most automotive stuff is. John, that's a fair point. Yeah, but not when reversing. That's a pretty fair point too. That's a good point, Mark. Yeah, interesting. I'm reading this. I guess everyone else is reading it too. You only get one side of the conversation from me, but the other thing is to make something dedicated, either with a stepper motor and electronics or with there's about 5,000 motor and gearbox combinations on AliExpress. You just got to know which one you want. And none of them particularly expensive, $8-10. But yeah, man, there's got to be a heck of a lot less load than starting an engine. That's a pretty fair point, yes. Steve Jordan's very depressing. He means well. Steve Jordan and Ticker John are the two most depressing YouTubers. No, that's not fair. I like Steve, but he's sort of a little bit of him goes that it goes a long way. Um, he does make good videos. Hey, Matt. Yeah, we're going to take the dog out. It's raining here, so it's not going to happen here. The rain's starting. Uh, yeah, Matt, no, it's sort of, you can't hurt to try. And if you've got to make up a bit of a gearbox or go and raid the even the motorbike wreckers for find some old gears to put together to make something up in a dog clutch with a lever or a magnetic clutch if you want and all that sort of fancy stuff. But I don't think you'd have any problems making something nice and neat. That's exactly right. If nothing else, you know it doesn't work. If it electrocutes you, it electrocutes you. But what's it, 12 volts? You probably, yeah. You're probably the guy that shorts the kids out with a spark plug. And so get your kid to hang on to it. Won't hurt much. Look forward to that. But yeah, you need a 15-to-1 Worman gearbox. Don't know whether you got one, but I got two. And 12 volts enough to make you feel like you probably don't want to let go, or like you do want to let go and you can't. So that's fair. I've got one for the x-axis on the mill. I'm going to fish that out. Let's fish that out. Hang on. Okay. Don't know if this is ever going to work. Let's shift some stuff and get in here. This was the idea. It was some time ago. Right, and I sort of got it working. Right. So we've got a control board and we've got a stepper motor inside a zippy box, which I don't think is a really particularly good idea. Right, with a speed controller here and a reversing switch hooked up to mains voltage with a 5 volt or 9 volt or something connector. Right, and we're going to put that inside this box with some vent holes in the back so it can get hot, or well, it can get warmer. And I was going to make a bracket to bolt on here that goes over the shaft so everything's underneath. Now this is pretty tiny because it's not a very big mill, but that was sort of what I was thinking. And surprisingly, this stepper motor fits nicely inside this box, so everything's closed up and it probably is going to be fairly good and dust proof with any luck. That was my thoughts. Another abandoned... get a name for that, sorry. Another abandoned project. Look, I've messed with this. It's probably going to work, right? The reason I give up on it when I did was that I was waiting to get my dividing head done so that I could cut the pulleys for it. But I've already got that sorted, so I actually finished that. Right? I do finish some things. And I haven't got back to this, and I haven't really cast up. With COVID and stuff, I haven't cast up a block. I've got sort of a pattern made. So that's what I was thinking, right? And just with a variable speed here. And it needs I think it needs a central on-off switch, because there's nothing worse than having to switch this off here on the control knob and then start it again at the beginning of each cut and set it right and get your feeding right. So you need to get your feed right for your cut, and then this is set, then flick him on and off. That's the idea anyway. But I've had a bit of tape on here, so it actually was running. Everything speeds up and slows down, and this is just a little speed controller build for this stepper motor. And I have a terrible habit of burning out electronic boards, so probably this one had a wiring issue or a soldering issue and it didn't work, which is probably my fault because I soldered it up or hooked it up the wrong way around or something. I probably need to get another one of these before I start messing around and get it working again and hook it up the right way the first time. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. So maybe I need to revise this and look for this motor. How much amps does it pull? I've got no idea. This seemed to work it okay. I've got no idea. And under load it's going to be different anyway, isn't it? Steppers are fiddly too. They are. That's right. There's probably 50 different gear motors available. This is a stepper too. It's probably not really the answer. It's not a good example. But little DC gear motors, there's probably 50 different ones available on AliExpress, probably, or Banggood. There's probably 100 different ones. All different ratios and different sizes and different amperages and different diameters and different shaft sizes, things like that. So I'm sort of thinking that something like this might be the way to go instead of a stepper. Who knows? Anyway, that was a sort of a thought, and I messed around with it for a weekend, and that's what I got. Thanks, Dennis. It's very flimsy to do real work, but it'd have no problems at all with a belt pulley running that mill. Like, actually doesn't take a lot to feed a horizontal mill through a fairly heavy cut. You know, it's not taking much. It doesn't really need to do rapid travel as such, because my mill's only got about 110 mil travel. So sitting and wait for it for feedback is probably not a... It's not a go and make a cup of coffee thing. It's a change feet on the ground and think about the next cut and set lift the table up, sort of a... It's not going to be a very long time. So there we go. This one's too flimsy to do real work. This is out of a robot or something. That's probably out of a vending machine years ago. I don't know. Anyway, it's probably ancient technology by now. But that's a 5-volt stepper motor. and that's a bit light on. Hey Ian, good to see you. So there we go. This may or may not happen again. I'm going to have it. I've sort of been thinking about it, and it's one of those projects that require a bit of thinking, so it's probably a good idea just to leave it on the shelf until you do. Something like this is much too big for a drive. It's all got to come off the hand wheel end, because on my mill, compared to a 2A, which is the next model, the other end of the lead screw is blanked off, so there's no actual access to the right hand side of the lead screw, so can't really put anything out on that end. But I was thinking to make, I think it's sort of drawn up, I was thinking to make a step pulley for here and a step and pulley for there, and probably some sort of a system that with a hand wheel that moved in and out to lock it in or withdraw it. I'm not sure. But like all these projects, you've got to prototype them up and then see what you actually end up with. And I'm not sure this is the final iteration anyway. Or iteration. Anyway, there we go. Food for thought. We'll see what Matty comes up with. It's probably going to be pretty nice. Yeah, and he makes nice stuff. I think there was one from Mark Presling recently. Is it Mark Presling? No, that was a drawbar tensioner or something like that, wasn't it? From Presso. Yep. Good video anyway. Malcolm's onto it. Thanks. Few new subscribers, not very many since last time I had the subscription counter going, and the subscription count has been out for 6 months, so I haven't picked up a whole lot of subscribers this last 6 months, but I haven't actually made any actual content too, and I think the two are not exactly mutually exclusive, so probably I need to make some videos. We'll just keep chipping away at Maddie. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at. They're all projects that need to be done. I'm going to get this finished because I really need this. I'm getting sick of not having it. It's a bit of a pain not having it, to be honest. So got all the bits there to do that. It's probably not a huge job, and that'd be a good job to try the lathe out on spinning that big diameter, because before it never had a hope. And then we can get back and make, well, I've got to finish the carburetor, which is actually still the elbow for the carburetor for the 400 still actually in the lathe, so waiting to get the motor going before we fix that. Take care, Wazza. This guy post, did you put a link up? How's the lathe motor, Malcolm? Says, just to reiterate on the lathe motor, it's not the motor. I put the new motor on and it's only working about 15% speed, and there's some problems there, so I pulled the motor off and put it on the mill. I wired it into the mill VFD, and that works fine over there. So it's not the motor, it's actually the wiring or the VFD. And I've got some flex here to wire the motor in, and wire it directly into the VFD and see if it works. If it works, then we'll just side sweep the wiring or work out what's wrong with it. If it doesn't, we'll find a new VFD. There we go. So there we go. It's getting closer. Everything's bolted up, ready to go. I've modified the plate. I put a couple of grooves in. I actually got some video. got the pulley on it, got everything hooked up, and it doesn't work. So we'll get there. Yes, with 220 volts here, 440 or 415 volts through phase, 415. So there we go. Anyway, link for the Discord, it is there actually. If you click on the link tree, it'll come up with a page with all the links on it. I didn't see it come through, but it's actually in the description box. So if you click on the, there it is. Tommy Guns onto it. Thanks, Chirp. Don't know why it does that. Anyway, Land Rover progress, new filaments coming, Tatra progress. Yeah, I've been printing a couple of bits for the Tatra, so I'm going to have that up and running soon. But it's not the build that the Land Rover is, because there's bits that are. Someone new, that's what that chirp was. Someone new on the Discord. Thanks guys. Anyway, I'm going to call this. I'm going to go and have some dinner. I've got Indian sitting here. It probably needs to be warmed up now. It's not much fun. And I'm probably going to answer a couple of emails and do some chores and go to bed. So that's where we're at with that. Anyway, thanks for joining in. Thanks heaps everyone for sticking around. And watch this space for actual completed project. Go and check out the Knackler's Workshop and ask Stephen Lang, Tommy Gun Machining. Go and check out Chirpy. Just about anyone who's on this live chat in the chat feed, on the live stream, go and check out the channels, because they've got some awesome content. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Hey, anyone who's under complete lockdown, I'm sorry about that. Anyone who's about to go to war with someone else, I'm sorry about that. Anyone who's got low posts, I'm sorry about that. All those things are 2021 problems. So be good, be kind to each other, and more soon, guys and girls. I'm out. Take care.